No matter how mad Crush may appear to be, no matter how frustrated he may look, I know that he's always gonna have a soft spot for me. Right about here. You say you can see a man's fear by looking into his eyes? Look into my eyes. What do you see? That's not gonna be your problem in Las Vegas. Because I ain't gonna be clowning around.
How's it feel? How does it feel to live in my hell? It's the first step. You wish the first stage. Boy, live in my hell.
Professional wrestling has always thrived on characters, larger-than-life personas that captivate audiences with their charisma, mystery, and menace. From undead morticians to beer-drinking anti-heroes, the industry has produced some of pop culture's most enduring figures. Yet, for every Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin, there are countless others who faded into obscurity. These lost characters appeared with promise but vanished due to creative missteps, shifting audience tastes, or the ever-evolving dark nature of the wrestling business. One of the more popular characters during the early 90s of WWF was a sadistic clown who would scare the children in the audience and beat up the wrestlers in the ring. This was Doink the Clown, originally portrayed by Matt Bourne, whose early performances leaned into the unsettling nature of his painted smile and unpredictable violence. However, as WWF softened the character into a more comedic role, Bourne was gone, and with him, the darkness that made Doink truly menacing. Years later, in ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling, Bourne resurrected the character in a twisted, broken form known as Bourne Again. Stripped of the circus act, this version exposed the man beneath the paint, portraying a deranged figure who seemed genuinely haunted by his past. Though short-lived, Bourne Again remains one of the darkest and most psychologically disturbing wrestling personas ever seen, proving that sometimes the scariest clowns aren't the ones who laugh, but the ones who can't stop crying. Matthew Wade Osborne, better known as Matt Bourne, was born on July 27, 1957. The son of wrestler Tough Tony Bourne, Osborne was raised in the wrestling business and quickly followed in his father's footsteps. He made his professional debut in the late 1970s, working in various territories during the height of the territorial system. Bourne developed a reputation as a tough, no-nonsense wrestler with solid in-ring ability. His rugged style made him a solid heel, and he feuded with top stars in multiple territories. In 1991, Bourne signed with WCW and was repackaged as Big Josh, a lumberjack character who wrestled in suspenders and carried an axe handle. While the gimmick was gimmicky, Bourne's skills still shone through, and he managed to win the WCW United States Tag Team Championship alongside wrestling legend Ron Simmons. Despite this moderate success, Big Josh was never positioned as a top star, and in 1992, Bourne's contract expired. Bourne, looking for a job, reached out to an old friend Jerry Jarrett, who got him a tryout with the biggest wrestling promotion, the WWF. First having a couple of matches under his old name Matt Bourne, Vince McMahon pitched the idea about an evil wrestling clown. Watching the old Batman TV show, Bourne realized that he can pick up some mannerisms from one of the most famous villains in pop culture, the Joker. Doink the Clown was one of the most unique and unsettling characters in WWF history. Unlike the family-friendly circus-style gimmicks common in early 90s WWF, Doink was originally portrayed as a deranged and sadistic prankster, a stark contrast to the colorful, kid-friendly presentation of the company. Introduced in 1992, this iteration of Doink was a psychotic, malevolent clown who took pleasure in playing cruel pranks on wrestlers. The character first appeared in vignettes, lurking in the crowd and pulling mean-spirited pranks, like squirting referees with water and tripping fans. Introduced in 1992, this iteration of Doink was a psychotic, malevolent clown who took pleasure in playing cruel pranks on wrestlers. The character first appeared in vignettes, lurking in the crowd and pulling mean-spirited pranks, like squirting referees with water and tripping fans. Unlike traditional clowns, his makeup was eerie, with dark, smeared eyes and an unsettling grin. The WWF commentary team often speculated on his true intentions, adding to the mystery of who the creepy man was behind the makeup. Doink's first major feud was with Crush in early 1993. Doink attacked Crush with a loaded prosthetic arm, solidifying himself as a heel. This led to a match at WrestleMania 9, where a second Doink appeared from under the ring to help the original win. This moment played into the psychological horror aspect of Doink's character. Unlike other wrestling villains who relied on brute force or underhanded tactics, Doink manipulated reality itself, leaving audiences and opponents questioning whether he was playing mind games or if there were truly multiple Doinks. This deception added an air of mystery to his persona, making him a unique and unsettling presence in WWF. Doink would go on to have legitimately good wrestling matches with legends like Macho Man Randy Savage and Bret Hart, which showcased Bourne's ability to blend character work with in-ring storytelling. However, personal issues, including substance abuse problems, led to his release from the company in late 1993. The character of Doink would continue under other wrestlers, later becoming a good guy clown which became a joke, no pun intended. Following his departure from WWF, Osborne wrestled sporadically on the independent circuit, occasionally reprising the Doink persona. But by the mid-1990s, Matt Bourne's career was in flux. Having been released from the WWF for drug issues, Bourne sought to re-establish himself as a serious competitor. Enter ECW, a promotion defined by its gritty realism and countercultural ethos, the exact opposite of a wrestling clown. Originally, Bourne tried portraying his Doink gimmick in ECW, but the fans known for being smart to the wrestling business hated this, as ECW was viewed as an alternative to the WWF and WCW, and seeing a gimmick like this made Doink seem just the opposite of what ECW stood for. After Doink lost a match to then World Heavyweight Champion Shane Douglas, Douglas went on to criticize Vince McMahon for turning a talented wrestler like Bourne into a comic relief character, and claimed that he knew how to bring out Bourne's full potential. In ECW, Bourne was given a platform to channel his frustrations with the cartoonish nature of his past persona and connect more to the hardcore ECW fans. Bourne created the character Bourne Again, a reflection on his real-life frustrations of being a clown. The character was a meta-commentary on Bourne's own dissatisfaction with the Doink gimmick. He would wear the clown's makeup in a disheveled, smeared fashion, a twisted mockery of the once vibrant face paint. His promos were bitter and introspective, often delivering monologues about being forced into the clown character and being rejected for wanting to be taken seriously. Bourne Again wasn't merely a gimmick, it was a psychological unraveling performed in real time. Bourne used the character to externalize his resentment toward the industry and his own history within it. In ECW, this kind of self-aware, fourth wall-breaking narrative was ahead of its time. His promos blurred the line between work and shoot, a hallmark of ECW's presentation style. While fans were intrigued by the character change, Bourne's downfall was inevitable. While Bourne Again was growing and developing, the character eventually just disappeared from the company. According to Matt Bourne himself, he was offered big money to do a tour of Europe and simply couldn't pass it up. However, others have claimed that Matt's drug addiction was spiraling out of control and was the main cause of him leaving the company. Matt Bourne's departure from ECW marked the end of Bourne Again, leaving behind a character remembered more for its potential than its execution. Bourne's subsequent struggles with personal issues and his untimely death in 2013 further cemented Bourne Again as a wrestling footnote, another what if in an industry full of them. Despite its failure, Bourne Again remains a fascinating case study in character reinvention. It was a bold attempt to reconcile a wrestler's personal and professional identity through performance. In an industry where personas are often disposable, Bourne Again stands out as a raw, unfiltered expression of creative frustration. A glimpse into what happens when the mask is ripped away, revealing something far more disturbing underneath. It wasn't as polished, it wasn't as marketable, but it was real. And maybe that's why it didn't last. But for those who saw it, it's impossible to forget.